Does the world produce new oil every day? Yeah, it does. Oil doesn't come from dinosaurs like we've been told for however many years. It's actually derived from algae and plankton. I may have upset some people about the new oil thing, but please let me explain. When the algae die, they fall to the bottom of whatever body of water that they were living in, because all oil comes from something that lived aquatically. And as the hundreds of millions of years progress, that algae gets buried, it gets pressurized, it gets heated, and then it starts turning into other forms of biomass. And mind you, this biomass is buried 5,000, 10,000, maybe 20,000 or more feet deep in the earth. The last step this biomass takes before it becomes extractable shale or just crude oil is something called kerogen. And it will remain in this kerogen state for several million years. Once that's done, we have easily extractable hydrocarbons that we can convert into energy. The reason why we are still getting new oil today is because some of that kerogen that is buried thousands of feet deep has finally evolved into extractable shale or crude. But only 3 or 4 barrels a day of this stuff is being produced through this natural process, so it doesn't match our need for it. We consume about 20 million barrels of oil a day. In America alone, the world consumes about 100 million. So that whole platform of, oil is a renewable resource. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure for about 40 seconds, Mr. Global was about to kill me. You should follow him. Thing is about this kerogen is that we have just started tapping that market. And a lot of people aren't talking about it, I think, because it's so lucrative, they want to keep it under wraps. There's about 6 to 9 trillion barrels of crude oil in the world that can be extracted from all of this shale because of the kerogen in it. So that's at minimum 250 years of oil. Wyoming's Green River Formation alone has up to 3 trillion barrels of crude oil from this. But the problem is that this kerogen is in something called immature shale. Right now, we're just extracting oil from mature shale, and we have 40 to 50 years of that. Mature shale is with the kerogen fully broken down, you can extract hydrocarbons from it. But the immature shale means that kerogen still needs, a few 100,000, maybe even a few more million years to process. But humans, we like to speed things up, and we have 2 popular ways of getting this out. The first is just pyrolysis. We extract the kerogen and then we heat it the heck up until it's ready to be what we want it. Then there's a better process called retorting, where they literally just put electrical heaters by all of this kerogen-rich rock and they heat it to high hell until it comes out as a liquid, which can be a hydrocarbon worthy of getting energy out of. The only problem is it's very expensive, it requires a lot of energy, and of course it's very dirty. Of course, there is a race between the United States and China to perfect this energy extracting technology, because not just the US, but China is sitting on a good amount of shale as well. And if they can extract the kerogen in an energy efficient way, then they're no longer so energy dependent, because they are the world's largest importer of oil. Neither of those countries, nor any major power, is leading the way. It's actually Estonia that's mastering this kerogen manipulation. Estonia is sitting on about 4 billion barrels of oil of this stuff, and that's enough to power them for 156 years. So if they can actually manage the proper extraction, they can become a net oil exporter. My fellow Americans, don't get upset, because the US is still leading in mature shale oil extraction. We're just not doing the immature stuff yet. And I know the environmentalists are thinking, great, we're just going to be consuming more oil because there's going to be plenty of it. Not necessarily. The International Energy Agency, which is pretty much the West's counter to OPEC, is claiming that we are going to peak at oil consumption by about 2030, 2035. They're not the only firms that think this way, because we are making a green transition. And of course, is nuclear fusion. I don't think that's going to be going into cars anytime soon, but in 20 to 30 years, it may power factories or it may power towns. In short, it means that we have an abundance of all of this crude oil, and we don't need to be producing so much every day to replenish it. It doesn't actually matter if the world is producing this new fossil fuel, because it's most likely going to be irrelevant in 50, 60 years, maybe sooner, as a source of fuel. But we will most likely still be using petroleum just to make the 6,000, 7,000 products that we all have today that we can't live without. If you take aspirin or have plastic components to fix your heart, that's because of crude oil. I am the Geo Hussar. I hope you found this educational, and let's hope the TikTok ban doesn't go through, but if it does, I'm gone on January 19th from this platform. Thanks for watching.